Go ahead. Turn it up. It's the Record Machine Show with your host, Jimmy Howe.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome singer-songwriter Phil DaRosa to the program. How you doing, Phil?
Good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. It's a nice day here in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach.
All right. Not bad, huh?
No.
What do you got for temperature down there?
Today, it's about 65.
Well, not bad at all. New England's a little rough.
That's where you are today, in New England?
Yeah, I'm on Martha's Vineyard. I was born and raised here, and I'm back living here the last 12 years or so.
That's pretty cool. What's the music scene like there?
Well, it's honestly, it's such a small little community, but there's a crap load of talent. It's pretty amazing. The venues have been sort of dying off. So there's only, really a few spots to get out there and play. A little more, there's a little more going on in the summer too, but yeah, a lot of the clubs have closed down for one reason or the other. And COVID didn't help.
I'm sure.
But all in all, the talent pool here is pretty awesome. So there's no shortage of collaborations and stuff like that going on.
That's awesome. Tell me about your musical background. When did you first get involved in music?
Well, I think that started pretty early on. I started playing trumpet, I think in the third grade. And I was always interested in singing and being in the school choruses and all that stuff. So I did a lot of that, but I played trumpet through high school. I took on the baritone horn in high school. And then I started playing guitar. I think I was a sophomore in high school or something like that. Right around 14, 15, I started kind of tinkering. Mm-hmm. And then, I kind of got addicted to guitar and ended up going to college and went to school for music theory and composition and ended up playing classical guitar through college. And, started kind of got on my first, into my first band at school in college in New Hampshire. And anyway, so yeah, and then we ended up kind of forming a crew that sort of played together for years and years. I'm still friends with all those guys from the original bands. And yeah, so then through all my 20s, we were kind of, touring New England and a little bit outside of New England. And there's a ton of other stories that kind of go along with that, and then transition back to the Vineyard to live and play a lot of gigs in the summers when I moved back here. Mm-hmm. 5 to 8 gigs a week, something like that.
Nice.
During the season. Yeah, man. And yeah, so I've always kind of stuck with it. And then I opened a studio in 2011 here on the Vineyard, music studio. Mm-hmm. And, I've seen a lot of, basically most of the local acts here have been through here at one time or another.
Okay.
and keeping me busy for sure. But yeah, anyway, so story kind of goes on and on from there. But I've got a studio here. Mm-hmm. I play gigs in the summer still, but I was with a band that did a little bit of a national tour a bunch of years ago, and then we sort of broke up and play sort of revival shows every year here and there. Mm-hmm. And I've got a business here now doing audiovisual stuff, integrations for homeowners and businesses.
That's cool.
On top of the studio. So yeah, I'm pretty spread thin these days. And trying to put music out here and there, as much as I have time and energy to kind of keep focused on.
That's awesome. Now, I believe every band or artist is influenced by someone. Who are some of your influences? Growing up, I listened to a lot of sort of the classic rock stuff. I mean, the Beatles, Hendrix, Eric Clapton, a lot of the sort of 70s rock stuff, mm-hmm. Even U2 and the Police, and who else? I mean, these days I'm kind of listening to everything from, I was literally just listening to a Rihanna record on the way to my studio. Nice. And, from Rihanna to Tom York, Radiohead, to sort of all over the place. Some classical music, Brahms, huge fan of some of his quartets and stuff like that. And Alabama Shakes. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of random stuff, but so I kind of try to take bits and pieces from everything that sort of moves me, This podcast is going to feature 2 of your tracks, January Gray and Won't Be the Same. What's the story behind those 2 songs? That's
awesome. Thanks for throwing those in there.
Sure.
So yeah, January Gray was sort of a tribute to my partner, who was going through some tough times, and winters on Martha's Vineyard are not easy for anybody that stays here year round. And so that was kind of like sort of just like a morale booster for her, basically. Mm-hmm. Giving her some something to pick her up. And I mean, that's basically the words sort of, say it pretty clearly in that one. Won't Be the Same. I wrote that. My dad got sick a few years ago and ended up passing away in 2020. Mm-hmm. And he was like just a crazy music fan. And I got a lot of my influences early on from what he listened to on vinyl, back in the day. And I've got this pretty amazing vinyl collection from him. And, but anyway, so I sort of wrote this when he got sick, and, it was just kind of getting me thinking about, just, I've written songs in the past that have been sort of activist-y, sort of standing up and trying to say something about what's going on, whether it be political landscape or just cultural stuff. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of that in there. There's a little bit of, like everyone deals with death, and trying to turn that focus, that sort of dark energy into sort of helping other people, and kind of keeping or trying to stay positive. That's kind of what that song is sort of shaped around.
Awesome. Now, how do you approach songwriting? What's your creative process like?
It's kind of different all the time. I've gone from, like coming up with a riff on guitar. I've done a lot of my writing on guitar, and sort of coming up with something, and then sort of writing lyrics based on that vibe, that energy. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if have you heard Song Exploder, the podcast?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, you'd love it. It's basically, they have a Netflix series out now too. It was kind of derived from the podcast. But actually it's interviews like this, one-on-one with an artist talking about a specific song and how they made that song.
Wow.
And it's like, I've heard a bunch of them with hit songwriters and bigger acts. And one of them was Dan Auerbach, from the Black Keys. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about a song. He's got a side project called The Arcs. I don't know if you've heard them, but they're pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like grimy rock sort of. Yeah, I mean, you'll hear it if you check them out. But he was on there one episode that I listened to, and he was talking about how he made this song. And he went into the studio with this crew of guys, and they just started playing, just messing around until they found something sort of to groove on. And then for lyrics or for melody, he essentially just started mumbling and singing a melody, like whatever came to him in that moment. Mm-hmm. And that's how the song was basically formed. And so I thought that idea was like, it takes the pressure off the lyrics.
Right.
And just kind of like focuses on the vibe and focuses on trying to get something out that sort of feels right, with the groove that you're working with. So I tried that. And I've sort of been utilizing that for my writing. I think I did that for both these songs, and just tried to, come up with a melody, sort of mumbling. I mean, he even says in this episode that some of the mumbling actually sort of sounded like words, and then he sort of just threw some words in there, and then it sort of created itself after that. Wow. And that's kind of what these tunes, I had some of the poetry sort of written, I think, on both of these tunes, but for the most part, I kind of did the same thing. I sort of just came up with the melody over the groove that I had created either in the studio or just with guitar. Wow. And the lyrics sort of fell into place after that.
Nice. Now, what was the name of that podcast again?
That's Song Exploder.
Wow. And you said it's on Netflix. It out. I got to check that out today.
Yeah, you'd love it for sure. It's great. And there's all sorts of artists from like electronic to, just singer-songwriter, pop, it's all over the board. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Now, currently, you have a full-length album titled Wouldn't I Like, and an EP also titled Away with the new singles out. And you also did a cover of a Coldplay tune, Trouble in Town. Will there be another full-length album at any point, or an EP?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not set in stone on that yet. I've been, a lot of people are releasing singles these days.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, I feel like it's, it sort of lends itself to, how small attention spans are.
Right.
Generally. But I've got, kind of I think an idea that I'm playing around with is putting out a bunch of singles and then releasing them all as an album. After I've got 10, 12 tracks out. So that's kind of what I'm messing around with. And, doing one every couple months, something like that. And then, at the end, just put them all together and sort of package it up and make an album out of it.
Now, what made you cover the Coldplay tune?
Well, that actually goes back to my dad too. He loved Coldplay. It was one of maybe his favorite sort of modern rock band was Coldplay. He ended up we went to Gillette Stadium to see them perform,
Nice.
and I wasn't really a huge fan of them, and then I saw them live in that show, and I mean it was one of the best just straight up rock shows I've ever seen, and you wouldn't expect that from them,
Right.
but they just rocked out, and it was crazy. So I just gained all this respect for them. So anyway, so that song off of that, one of the I think the second to last album they put out, was my dad's favorite tune of that album.
Nice.
So I ended up just learning it basically for him. He was getting sick, and I did a show here at a church with a couple of regional artists that I brought down here to play kind of a Christmas show.
Mm-hmm.
And and I sort of first covered it there at that show, and then I decided to record it.
That's awesome. Now, besides being a singer-songwriter, you're also a producer and a studio engineer. Who were some of the artists that you've worked with, and are you currently working with anyone right now?
I am kind of working with some people right now. A good friend of mine, David Saw, is releasing a bunch of songs that we recorded a few years ago. He's sort of doing a similar, release idea where he's putting out singles and then going to put the whole full length album out. He's worked a lot with Carly Simon and her son Ben Taylor, so I've worked with Carly and Ben. I've worked with Natasha Benningfield was in here a few years back, recording a sort of a stripped down version of one of her songs. And then I've got, mostly locals and some regional artists through the studio. And we're sort of kind of revamping because, I'm one of the only commercial studios here on the Vineyard. And we do a lot of, voiceover stuff. I did Barack Obama's last audiobook.
Wow.
Here. And that just sort of fell into place because he was here with his family and staying late through the season through September and needed a place to do it. And I happened to be sort of in the right place at the right time. And, so there's a lot of sort of random voiceover actors coming in, especially during the season. And a lot of that type of stuff in journalism, PBS or NPR stuff, recording commercials, stuff like that. But in terms of most of the music being recorded here, it's mostly local and regional acts, and then some of these random national act little moments here and there.
So did you meet Barack Obama? Did you chat with him?
Oh yeah. He spent 2 weeks here.
What was he like?
He was just as you would imagine, cool, collected, super comfortable to be around. I mean, everyone was the first day he walked in, everyone was kind of, just nervous to meet the guy, and not do the wrong thing or whatever. And immediately he's fist bumping and just kind of, talking it up with us. And immediately just no facade, you know what I mean? Just one of the guys, which was really cool. It took the pressure off of all of us and made it way more comfortable than we were kind of worried it might be. But it was super I mean, obviously that's one of the coolest things that's happened to me in my life, I think, is working with him for sure.
Did you get a photo with him in the studio? Maybe hang it up on the wall in there and stuff?
I did. I got a photo. It's on Instagram. If you look me up on there, you can see the photo.
Cool.
This is a couple years ago. But yeah, I've got this little framed little letter he sort of signed for me, and a picture that I printed out the cover of his book,
Mm-hmm.
and framed it with that little letter he gave me, which is super sweet. So yeah, that's my claim to fame.
Does that help business when people go in there and see that a former president actually recorded something in the studio?
It's funny. I put it on the studio website, but I mean, I'm not sure I've gotten much. Well, I've gotten some voiceover work in the studio from that experience, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it's mostly sort of in the background. I don't put it out there a ton. You know what I mean?
You're not a name dropper.
Yeah, I try not to be.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, you've been writing and recording music for over 20 years, and you've shared the stage with many amazing artists like G Love, Carly Simon, Martin Sexton, John Forté, even Ben Taylor, to name a few. What's it like sharing the stage with such great artists?
I mean, I think that, there's sort of like a boost that you get with playing either with or in the same evening as either artists that you really respect or artists that are just, are either well known or just have notoriety for a good reason. And I think that's kind of the coolest thing. I try to, when I'm playing or trying to put a band together or something like that, I try to pick people that are either better than me
Mm-hmm.
or have something sort of a strength that I might not have, and I think that just doing that on stage with, whether you're sharing the stage as an opening act or whether you're, playing along with people, it just kind of gives you a boost, you know what I mean? Musically, energetically, sort of kind of brings your potential up to maybe what it should be.
Very cool. Now, what are your plans for the rest of 2023?
Well, I'm putting a band together right now with a few of these exact types of people.
Okay.
Here on the Vineyard. Amazing singer, Darby Patterson, who I've worked with over the last few years on a number of things. She's been recording in here and sort of collaborating with me on a bunch of stuff. And a couple of my buddies on bass and drums. And the plan is to at least do every other week or so. We're going to do a live show on the Vineyard this summer, and that's kind of the plan for that. For in terms of like live shows and everything.
Uh-huh.
I book a couple festivals every season here
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I'm kind of working on something for Memorial Day weekend, and I'll probably sort of debut this crew on that date. And in terms of just musical plans, besides just playing live, I'm really trying to spend more time writing and recording some new material and sort of collaborate with a lot of the people here that I admire and that are, super fun and sort of inspiring to play with. So that's the plan this year, is make more time for writing and actually getting stuff out there.
Sounds like a good idea. Now, outside of music, do you have any hobbies or interests?
Yeah, I have a veggie garden.
Nice.
I love baking bread
Very cool.
randomly. We've had a sourdough starter going for a few years that I recently let die, so I got to get a new one.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I was always an athlete growing up and through my 20s, 30s. So I'm doing some tennis and some soccer and trying to keep in shape as I get older.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, hanging with friends, laughing. That's a big hobby of mine.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
That's awesome. Now, do you have a website that you'd like to promote?
Sure. Yeah. My two websites I could throw out there are my solo music and then my studio. The solo music is just phildarosa.com, and that's an easy one. And then the studio is printshopaudio.com.
Very nice. Now, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about today?
Well, I want to thank Joe Viglione for getting us hooked up together, for sure.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's been a big advocate for my music for a good number of years. And yeah, I just want to thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Well, you're welcome. And, I appreciate you taking the time out to chat with me about your music and your studio. And anytime you want to come back on the show, my friend, we have each other's numbers. Let's stay in touch, all right?
Absolutely. I'll keep you posted on the new stuff.
I'd love to hear it when it comes out.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right,
have a great week.
You too, man.
All right, man. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
For everybody down, there is somebody who mourns them. For every mournful frown, there is a deed that turns it around. When we fall, we can see each other and see we're all the same. But when we fall, we can choose to blame. Can he get up? Can she get up? Can they get up and walk again? Can they get up and walk again? Every night, every day, someone says goodbye and okay, I'll meet you at the gate. Every dawn, every day is more than one. They wish upon a star.
Machine Show is a weekly radio podcast produced by Jimmy Howell Productions. All rights reserved. For information regarding distribution or adding this podcast to your website, please visit our contact page at therecordmachineshow.com to submit your request. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Record Machine Show.
The Record Machine Show.